Mindset by Carol Dweck. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, you're just not smart enough, talented enough, or cut out for success? Have you ever looked at people who rise after every failure and wondered what secret they have that you don't? Here's the truth that most people never realize. It's not about intelligence, talent, or even luck. It's about mindset. Yes, mindset. That silent, often invisible force inside your head that dictates how you respond to challenges, criticism, effort, and failure. And chances are, it's the very thing that's been holding you back. In this video, we're diving deep into the transformative ideas from Carol Dweck's groundbreaking book, Mindset: The New Psychology of Success. It's not just another motivational talk. This is a wake-up call. What you believe about your ability to grow and change is either fueling your future or freezing your potential. Dweck's research reveals that there are two main types of mindset: the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And here's the kicker. One of them keeps you stuck in a loop of fear and self-doubt, while the other opens up a life of growth, resilience, and achievement. Why does this matter so much? Because your mindset is shaping every part of your life. Right now. Whether you're aware of it or not, it influences how you handle failure, how much effort you put into your goals, how you deal with criticism, and even how you see yourself and others. If you've ever quit too soon, avoided taking risks, or held back from chasing your dreams because you didn't want to look stupid, your mindset is the reason why. And the good news? It can be changed. This simple shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset can transform everything: your career, your relationships, your education, your health, your confidence. When you realize that your abilities aren't fixed and that you can improve with effort, strategy, and feedback, life stops feeling like a test you're always failing and starts becoming a journey you're actively shaping. Suddenly, failure becomes feedback, struggle becomes a sign of growth, and success? It becomes a byproduct of your learning process. In the next sections of this video, we'll explore what exactly these two mindsets look like, not just in theory, but in real life. We'll break down how they show up in school, in business, in sports, in relationships, and even in how we parent and lead others. You'll discover the subtle ways a fixed mindset may be sabotaging your progress and how to catch it in action. More importantly, you'll learn practical tools to start rewiring your brain for a growth mindset, one small decision at a time. So, whether you're a student trying to improve your grades, an entrepreneur building something meaningful, a parent raising the next generation, or just someone who wants to live with more purpose, this journey is for you. Because the truth is, you're not stuck. You're just operating from a belief system that needs to be updated. And once you make that shift, even just a little, everything can begin to change. Let's get started. Section 1. The two mindsets. Let's begin with a simple but powerful question. What do you believe about your abilities? Do you think you're naturally good at some things and hopeless at others? Or do you believe that with effort, practice, and learning, you can get better at almost anything? That one question separates the two mindsets that Carol Dweck discovered in decades of research. And that one belief can shape your entire life, from how you face problems to whether you ever reach your potential. Dweck calls them the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. A fixed mindset is the belief that your intelligence, talent, and abilities are set in stone. You're either smart or not, creative or not, athletic or not. You believe your traits are fixed, and because of that, everything becomes a test to prove how good you already are. People with a fixed mindset spend their lives trying to avoid failure, criticism, or even effort, because if they try and still fail, it means they've reached their limit. That's terrifying. So they either succeed easily or they back off completely. Risk, effort, and challenge are avoided, not because they don't want success, but because they fear being exposed as not good enough. On the flip side is the growth mindset. This is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, hard work, learning, and resilience. People with a growth mindset see challenges as opportunities to improve. They view failure as feedback. Instead of asking, "Am I good at this?" they ask, "How can I get better at this?" It's a fundamentally different way of engaging with the world, and it changes everything. Why does this matter so much? Because your mindset is not just an abstract idea. It's a lens that colors every experience in your life. It shapes how you interpret feedback, how you recover from setbacks, how much effort you're willing to invest, and whether you even try something difficult in the first place. It determines whether you embrace growth or retreat into fear, whether you pursue your full potential or settle into the comfort of what feels safe and easy. Let's look at how this plays out in real life. Think about the story of Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Did you know that he was cut from his high school basketball team? Most people would have taken that as proof. I'm just not good enough. But not Michael. He didn't see it as a reflection of his permanent ability. He saw it as a challenge to grow. So he trained harder. He practiced relentlessly. He turned that setback into fuel. That's the growth mindset in action. Not, "I failed, so I'm a failure," but "I failed, so I need to learn and improve." Now, contrast that with a student who fails a math test. A fixed mindset says, "I'm just bad at math. I'll never get this." And from that moment, they stop trying. But a growth mindset says, "This test was hard, but I can learn from my mistakes and do better next time." That student is far more likely to improve over time, not because they were born smarter, but because they believe they can grow. Here's the catch. We all carry both mindsets within us. No one is fully growth or fully fixed. You might have a growth mindset when it comes to sports or learning new languages, but a fixed mindset when it comes to your social skills, leadership, or creativity. The key is becoming aware, noticing which voice is speaking when you hit a wall. Are you saying, "I'm just not good at this," or "I haven't figured it out yet"? So, how do you apply this? Start by paying attention to your inner dialogue when you face a challenge or fail at something. What do you say to yourself? Do you beat yourself up? Do you make it about your identity? "I'm dumb. I'm not cut out for this. I'll never be good enough"? Or do you stay curious and constructive? "That didn't work. What can I learn from this? What could I try differently next time?" That small shift in language is the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And the more you catch those thoughts and choose growth, the more you rewire your brain to embrace effort, resilience, and learning. Another way to strengthen a growth mindset is to celebrate effort over outcome. In schools, businesses, and homes, we often praise results, good grades, wins, awards. But research shows that when we praise kids or adults for being smart or talented, we accidentally reinforce a fixed mindset. Instead, praise effort, strategy, and persistence. You worked really hard on that project. You tried a new method. I admire that. You didn't give up even when it was tough. These kinds of comments encourage a belief in growth, not just natural talent. Now let's get personal. I want to challenge you. Where in your life are you operating from a fixed mindset? Is it your career, where you're scared to speak up or try something new because you think you're not good enough? Is it your fitness, where you've decided you're just not athletic? Is it relationships, where you believe you're not lovable or capable of changing? Is it a dream you've shelved because you failed once and assumed that meant it wasn't for you? Be honest with yourself. Identify one area where that voice inside says, "This is just how I am," or "I could never get better at that." That's your fixed mindset talking, and that's the belief you can start changing today. You don't need to flip a switch and become the world's most optimistic learner overnight. You just need to notice, pause, and choose differently. Every time you face a challenge and choose to see it as a chance to grow, you're rewiring your brain. Every time you fail and come back stronger, you're building a growth mindset. It's a process, and it's possible. In the next section, we're going to dive deeper into how these mindsets play out in specific areas: school, sports, business, and relationships. You'll start to see how people rise or fall based on this invisible force. And more importantly, you'll learn how to shift your own mindset, even when it feels hard. But for now, just remember this: you are not stuck. Your abilities are not fixed. You can grow. And it all begins with what you choose to believe. Let's keep going. Section 2. Mindset in School and Learning. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood ideas in education: intelligence. From the moment we enter school, society begins labeling us fast learner, slow learner, gifted, average, not academic. And the message is loud and clear. If you're not naturally good at something, it's just not for you. You're either born smart or you're not. This kind of thinking, rooted in the fixed mindset, doesn't just kill curiosity. It shuts down potential. It causes students to give up before they even begin. But here's the truth that Carol Dweck shouts from the rooftops in Mindset. Intelligence is not a fixed trait. It can grow. It can be developed. It's not who you are. It's what you practice. The impact of mindset on education is massive. It's the difference between a student who sees a bad grade as a verdict, "I'm dumb," and a student who sees that same grade as a challenge. "I didn't prepare the right way. I can do better next time." That difference in thinking leads to completely different outcomes over time. Why? Because one student gives up and the other keeps trying. The fixed mindset closes the door. The growth mindset keeps it wide open. Let's get into what this really means. When students believe that their intelligence is fixed, they start to avoid difficult tasks. They stick to what they know, stay in their comfort zone, and fear mistakes. Why risk being exposed as not smart? They learn not to try, because trying and failing feels like proof of inadequacy. But when students are taught that the brain is like a muscle, that it gets stronger with use, everything changes. Mistakes become a part of the process, not something to fear. Struggle becomes a signal of growth, not weakness. Learning becomes exciting again, not something to endure or avoid. There's a powerful story in the book about a group of underperforming students who were taught about the growth mindset. They didn't get extra tutoring. They didn't get special help. They simply learned how the brain works and that their abilities could grow with effort. The result? Their grades improved. Their motivation skyrocketed. They started believing in their own capacity to learn. And that belief became a turning point in their academic journey. Think about that. A shift in mindset did what years of low expectations and negative labels couldn't. It woke up their potential. This matters more than ever in a world that's constantly changing. The most valuable skill today isn't knowing everything. It's being able to learn anything. And the growth mindset is the foundation of that skill. Now, how do we apply this practically? Whether you're a student, a parent, or someone learning new skills. First, praise effort. not talent. When someone does well on a test, it's tempting to say, "You're so smart." But that kind of praise locks them into a fixed identity. It makes them afraid to fail next time because it threatens their smart label. Instead, say, "You worked really hard and used a great strategy. That's why you did well." This kind of praise reinforces the process, not the result. It helps people focus on what they can control: their effort, strategies, and persistence. Second, normalize struggle. Learning is messy. It's full of confusion, mistakes, and moments of doubt. But in a growth mindset, struggle is a good sign. It means your brain is working, stretching, growing. In fact, research shows that when we make mistakes and correct them, the brain literally builds new connections. That's learning at work. Parents and teachers, take note. The way you respond to a child's mistakes can shape their mindset for life. Do you rush to rescue them? Or do you help them reflect and try again? Do you make them feel ashamed for failing? Or do you help them see the lesson? Next, focus on learning strategies over quick wins. Many students chase the grade instead of understanding. But grades are a short-term result. Real learning lasts. Teach kids to ask better questions. What can I do differently next time? What's a more effective way to study? What did I learn from this experience? These questions activate growth. Let's bring this down to the real world with an example. Imagine a student named Amina. She's always struggled with math. She tells herself, "I'm just not a math person." That's the fixed mindset talking. Every time she gets a poor grade, it reinforces her belief. She tries to avoid the subject. Her effort drops. She gets stuck in a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now imagine Amina is introduced to the idea that her brain can grow. That math isn't about being born smart. It's about practice, persistence, and finding the right method. She starts watching videos online, asking questions in class, and trying different problem-solving techniques. She still struggles, but instead of quitting, she views every mistake as information. Slowly, she improves. Her confidence rises. She no longer sees herself as bad at math. She sees herself as someone who's learning. That's transformation, and it all starts with a shift in mindset. Let's be clear. The growth mindset doesn't mean everyone will become Einstein. It doesn't deny that people have different starting points. What it means is that your starting point doesn't determine your finish line. With the right attitude, strategies, and support, you can go far beyond what you once believed was possible. Now, here's your challenge. How do you respond to academic or skill-based struggles? Do you avoid subjects or skills you find hard because you don't want to look stupid? Do you label yourself as not smart or not talented in certain areas? Do you quit quickly, or do you reflect and try again? Be brutally honest. Then, flip the script. The next time you hit a wall in learning, whether it's studying, picking up a new language, or trying a new career skill, ask yourself, what would someone with a growth mindset do here? And do that. Changing your mindset won't happen overnight. But every time you choose growth, you reinforce it. Every time you embrace the struggle instead of running from it, you strengthen your learning muscle. Every time you value effort over image, you're becoming the kind of person who can learn anything. Let this section be your reminder. You don't need to be the smartest in the room. You just need to be the one who refuses to stop learning. In the next section, we'll explore how mindset shows up in sports and performance, and why the best athletes in the world aren't always the most talented, but often the most resilient. Let's keep going. Section 3. Mindset in Business and Leadership. When we think about leadership, we often picture someone with charisma, vision, and sharp decision-making skills. But what if I told you the most powerful trait a leader can have isn't confidence, experience, or intelligence, but a growth mindset? Carol Dweck's mindset reveals a powerful truth. The mindset of a leader doesn't just influence their personal success, it shapes the entire culture of an organization. A fixed mindset leader creates a culture of fear, blame, and stagnation. A growth mindset leader builds a culture of feedback, learning, and exponential growth. Let's unpack what this means. A fixed mindset in leadership looks like this: a manager who can't admit mistakes, a CEO who surrounds themselves with yes men, a boss who sees team members as either talented or not cut out for it. In this environment, people hide problems, avoid innovation, and fear failure. Why? Because making mistakes is seen as weakness. Criticism is taken personally. Risk is punished. And in time, the company stops evolving because people are too afraid to grow. Now contrast that with a growth mindset leader. They believe skills can be developed. They believe people can change. They see challenges as opportunities, feedback as fuel, and failure as part of the process. Under this kind of leadership, people feel safe to try new ideas, admit mistakes, and collaborate honestly. The culture becomes vibrant, resilient, and focused on continuous improvement. Let's take a real-world example. Jack Welch, the former CEO of General Electric. When Welch took over GE, he didn't just focus on profit, he focused on people. He famously removed rigid hierarchies and pushed decision-making down the chain. He rewarded employees not just for hitting targets, but for developing others. He fostered a culture of candor, encouraging honest feedback across all levels. His message was clear: grow yourself, grow your team, and grow the business. The result? GE's market value soared from $14 billion to over $400 billion during his tenure. Welch wasn't just managing. He was mentoring and building a company that could outlast any single leader. That's what growth mindset leadership looks like in action. But this isn't just for CEOs. Whether you're leading a company, a classroom, a team, or even just managing yourself, your mindset matters. So, how can you put this into practice? 1. Start with yourself. The hardest person to lead is you. Ask, how do you respond to feedback? Do you get defensive when someone challenges your idea? Or do you lean in and ask, tell me more, how can I improve? Growth-minded leaders are always learning. They read, ask questions, seek coaching, and model humility. They don't pretend to have all the answers. Instead, they empower others to contribute ideas and solutions. Leadership becomes less about control and more about collaboration. 2. Create psychological safety. Your team will only take risks if it's safe to fail. That doesn't mean lowering standards. It means recognizing effort, rewarding learning, and separating a failed attempt from a failed person. When a project doesn't work out, ask, what did we learn? Not, who's to blame? Celebrate experiments. Acknowledge smart risks, even when they don't succeed. People grow when they know they're allowed to stretch. 3. Recognize and reward progress, not just results. In a fixed mindset culture, only the stars get recognized. In a growth mindset culture, improvement is just as valuable as achievement. Leaders who recognize people's development, not just their titles or past success, build trust and loyalty. Instead of saying, you're amazing, say, I noticed how much effort you put into solving that. That growth is impressive. Instead of focusing only on metrics, celebrate the process. New skills gained, obstacles overcome, new approaches tried. That's how you build momentum. 4. Build feedback into your team's rhythm. A growth mindset thrives on feedback, but not just once a year at a performance review. Make feedback part of everyday culture. Weekly check-ins, post-project reflections, peer-to-peer feedback sessions. And don't just give it, model how to receive it. When leaders ask their teams, "How can I improve?" they send a powerful message. We're all growing here, even me. 5. Coach for development, not just performance. Performance is about what people can do now. Development is about what they're capable of tomorrow. Growth-minded leaders don't just tell people what to do. They help them discover how to do it better. They ask questions like, "What do you think worked here? And what didn't? What skills do you want to develop next? What support do you need to take this further?" That shift from taskmaster to coach unlocks potential you never knew existed. Now, let's bring it closer to home. Imagine two leaders. One believes that great teams are built by hiring the best people and hoping they deliver. The other believes that great teams are built by hiring good people and helping them become great. Which leader would you rather work for? Which one would you become more loyal to? Which one would help you grow? That's the power of mindset. It doesn't just change how you lead, it changes what your leadership creates in others. Let's not forget, companies don't grow. People do. Organizations don't innovate. People do. And if you want to build a high-performance culture, it starts with helping your people develop a high-growth mindset. Let's turn the mirror on ourselves for a moment. Reflective challenge. Are you leading or limiting growth in your team or workplace? Do you welcome feedback or avoid it? Do you celebrate effort and progress, or only perfection? Do you build others up, or protect your status? Do your people feel safe to learn, or scared to fail? Be honest, and if you see places where the fixed mindset is creeping in, don't panic. You can grow too. That's the beauty of this work. It's not about being perfect. It's about getting better. In the words of Carol Dweck, becoming is better than being. So choose becoming. Choose the mindset that doesn't just grow companies, it grows people. Choose the mindset that builds trust, sparks innovation, and creates legacy. In the next section, we'll explore how mindset shapes personal relationships and why the fixed mindset might be secretly sabotaging your closest connections. Get ready to see your relationships in a whole new light. Section 4. Mindset in relationships. When most people think about personal development, they think about careers, goals, and self-discipline. But what if the biggest transformation of all happens not within you, but between you and someone else? What if the key to deeper love, lasting connection, and healthier communication lies in how you think about the people you love? Carol Dweck's mindset doesn't just change how we work or learn, it changes how we love. Because at the heart of every relationship lies a hidden belief. Can people change or not? In a fixed mindset, we believe people are who they are, period. My partner is just bad at listening. She's always dramatic. He's too selfish to change. Sound familiar? In a growth mindset, we believe people and relationships can evolve. She's learning how to manage her emotions. He's growing in his ability to listen. We're learning how to communicate better. That one shift, from labeling to learning, can mean the difference between a relationship that breaks under pressure and one that strengthens through struggle. Here's why this matters. All relationships face conflict, misunderstandings, frustration, disappointment. That's inevitable. But how we interpret those moments, that's mindset. Fixed mindset partners interpret challenges as signs of incompatibility. They believe, if it's hard, It means we're not meant to be. Or worse, you'll never change. Growth mindset partners interpret challenges as opportunities. They ask, what can we learn here? They believe that relationships are not found. They're built through communication, feedback, empathy, and effort. Let's look at a real-world example. A couple named Lisa and Mark had been married for 5 years. The honeymoon period faded, and the arguments became frequent. Lisa felt unheard. Mark felt criticized. Over time, the blame game took over. Every conversation became a power struggle. You always ignore me. You never appreciate what I do. They were stuck in a fixed mindset, believing the other person was the problem, and change was impossible. But then, through counseling and some powerful insights from growth mindset psychology, they began to shift. Instead of accusing, Lisa started expressing her needs. Instead of defending, Mark started listening with curiosity. They began to ask, what are we each learning about how to love better? Instead of seeing each other as broken, they started seeing each other as becoming. It wasn't magic, it was mindset. Over time, their marriage didn't just survive, it grew. Because when you believe growth is possible, you create space for love to expand. So how do you apply this to your own relationships? 1. Embrace vulnerability. In fixed mindset relationships, vulnerability feels like a threat. You don't want to admit when you're wrong. You don't want to expose your insecurities. So you put up walls and disconnect. But in growth mindset relationships, vulnerability is the path to intimacy. Saying, I'm still learning how to be a good partner, or that hurt me, but I want to understand why, creates emotional safety. It allows both people to grow together instead of hiding behind ego. 2. Listen with curiosity, not judgment. It's easy to judge your partner's behavior, especially when emotions are high. But instead of jumping to conclusions, try asking questions. What made you feel that way? What do you need right now? What's going on beneath the surface? Curiosity is a growth mindset in action. It replaces assumptions with understanding, and understanding is the soil where love takes root. 3. Believe in change. This might be the most powerful and most challenging shift of all. Many relationships break down not because people fail, but because one partner stops believing in the other's ability to grow. But the truth is, people do change when they're seen, supported, and challenged with love. When your partner struggles, don't say, that's just who they are. Say, I believe you can get better at this, and I'm with you in it. That belief alone can be the catalyst for transformation. Of course, growth doesn't mean tolerating abuse, disrespect, or being the only one doing the work. But in a healthy relationship, both people must hold a shared belief. We can improve together. 4. Praise effort and progress. Just like in parenting or teaching, what we reinforce in relationships shapes behavior. When your partner makes an effort, even a small one, acknowledge it. I noticed you were really trying to listen just now. That meant a lot. Thank you for owning your part in that argument. That shows real growth. These moments build a culture of development, not perfection. They say, we're in this to grow, not just to get it right. 5. Reframe conflict as a classroom. Most of us fear conflict, but growth mindset couples see conflict differently. Not as a threat to the relationship, but as a mirror showing where we need to grow. Next time you argue, take a breath and ask, what is this trying to teach us? Is it teaching you patience, better communication, a deeper understanding of each other's needs? When you shift from reaction to reflection, your relationship becomes a living space for learning. Now let's turn the mirror on ourselves. Reflective challenge. Do you view your loved ones through a fixed or growth lens? Do you assume your partner, sibling, or friend will never change? Do you replay past mistakes instead of recognizing recent progress? Do you give space for others to improve or hold them hostage to their past? And what about yourself? Do you believe you can become a better communicator, listener, or friend? Do you let past failures define you or fuel you? This matters because every relationship is a mirror and a test of our mindset. If you hold a fixed view of others, you limit their potential. If you believe in growth, you create space for deeper love, healing, and connection. Growth mindset doesn't mean ignoring problems or forcing toxic optimism. It means choosing to engage, to believe, to stay open, even when it's hard. It means choosing love that evolves, not just love that flatters. In the words of Carol Dweck, when people develop a growth mindset, they believe they can improve, and they try harder. What if the same is true for love? What if the greatest gift you could give someone isn't perfection, but the belief that they can become more? What if you extended that grace to yourself, too? That's how relationships don't just last, they transform. In the next section, we'll explore how mindset plays a role in parenting and raising kids, because nothing shapes a child's future more than the beliefs they inherit about growth, intelligence, and identity. Stay tuned. Section 5. Parenting and Mindset. Every parent wants their child to succeed. Every caregiver hopes the little ones they raise will be smart, confident, and capable. But what if the very way we try to encourage children is setting them up to fear failure? What if calling your child so smart or so talented is doing more harm than good? In Mindset, Carol Dweck reveals one of the most powerful insights in parenting. The way we praise and guide children shapes their inner beliefs about themselves. Those beliefs, what Dweck calls their mindset, determine whether they will thrive in the face of challenge or retreat from it, whether they grow into resilient, lifelong learners or anxious perfectionists afraid to take risks. At the core, it comes down to this. Are you raising a child who needs to look smart or a child who wants to get smart? Let's unpack the two. A fixed mindset child believes that intelligence and ability are traits you're born with. If they succeed, they feel proud. But if they fail, they feel ashamed. Why? Because failure to them means they're not good enough. These children often avoid difficult tasks, stick to what they know, and seek approval over growth. On the other hand, a growth mindset child believes that intelligence and skills can be developed. Failure is not a verdict, it's a step. These kids try new things, ask questions, bounce back after setbacks, and keep learning even when it's hard. They're not driven by looking smart, they're driven by getting better. So where do these mindsets come from? Not from DNA, not from birth order, not from IQ. They come from what adults model and reinforce. Every time a parent praises a child's effort, persistence, or strategy, they send a message. You grow through work. Every time a parent praises innate ability, you're so smart, you're a genius, they unintentionally send the message. Your worth is tied to being naturally perfect. This may seem like a small difference, but its effects are massive. In one famous study, Dweck and her team gave a group of kids a simple puzzle and praised them afterward. Half were praised for their intelligence. You must be really smart. The other half were praised for their effort. You must have worked really hard. Then the researchers offered them a choice. Try a harder puzzle that would be more challenging, or stick with an easier one they could surely solve. The results were stunning. Kids praised for intelligence overwhelmingly chose the easy puzzle. They didn't want to risk looking dumb. But kids praised for effort chose the hard puzzle They wanted to grow. One simple sentence had shifted their entire orientation toward learning. This is why mindset-based parenting matters. Not because it's trendy, but because it teaches children how to handle life's inevitable challenges. Think about it. School gets harder. Friendships can be messy. Confidence wavers. If a child has been trained to chase praise and perfection, they crumble under pressure. But if they've been trained to value progress and persistence, they thrive, because they've learned that who they are is not fixed. Let's take a look at a real-world example. In a low-income school district, students were underperforming on standardized tests. Teachers began implementing growth mindset principles in the classroom. They stopped telling students how smart they were and started emphasizing effort, strategy, and learning from mistakes. They even changed how they graded, replacing the word fail with the phrase not yet. The results? Not only did test scores improve dramatically over time, but students also became more motivated, engaged, and confident. They weren't just doing better, they were becoming better. This isn't magic, it's mindset, and it starts at home. Here's how you can apply growth mindset parenting every day. 1. Praise wisely. When your child accomplishes something, resist the urge to say, "You're so smart." Instead, say things like, "You worked really hard on that." "I love how you kept trying different ways to solve it." "You didn't give up." That's what made the difference. This reinforces the idea that success is earned, not given, and that effort is something to be proud of. 2. Celebrate mistakes. Instead of getting frustrated when your child messes up, ask, "What did you learn from that?" Mistakes are not shameful, they're learning opportunities. When kids understand that, they stop hiding their errors and start learning from them. 3. Use yet. If your child says, "I can't do this," teach them to add one word, yet. "I can't do this yet." That one word opens a door in their brain. It turns a dead end into a path. 4th, model a growth mindset yourself. Kids absorb what we do more than what we say. If you beat yourself up over mistakes or avoid challenges, they notice. But if you say, "This is hard for me, but I'm learning," or "I failed at this, but I'm going to try again," you're showing them how to grow. 5. Focus on process, not just results. When your child brings home a good grade, ask what strategies they used. When they lose a game, talk about what they learned. Shift the conversation from winning to working, from achievement to improvement. 6. Set expectations for growth. Let your child know that you expect them to stretch themselves. Say things like, "I don't expect you to know everything, I expect you to try." Or, "You don't have to be perfect, you just have to keep growing." When you set this kind of tone at home, your child learns to value growth over glory. And that mindset will serve them long after childhood ends. Now, pause for a moment and consider this reflective challenge. What mindset are you modeling or reinforcing in others, especially the children in your life? When a child struggles, do you rush in to fix it, or do you let them wrestle with the problem? When they succeed, do you praise the result, or the work that went into it? Do your words teach them that failure is a flaw, or a teacher? Your mindset is contagious. Whether you're a parent, teacher, coach, or relative, you're shaping a child's belief system every day. And here's the good news. It's never too late to shift. Whether your child is 5 or 15, whether you've been encouraging fixed traits or growth habits, you can start today. The brain is adaptable. So is the heart. So is the relationship you share with a child. Ultimately, parenting isn't about raising perfect kids. It's about raising kids who know how to grow, who can handle life, learn from it, and keep rising no matter what comes. That's the real goal. That's the legacy of a growth mindset. In the next section, we'll explore how to build resilience and toughness, not through pressure, but through the belief that struggle leads to strength. Because when kids and adults believe they can grow, they become unstoppable. Section 6. Mindset in sports. In sports, the spotlight often falls on natural talent. We marvel at the prodigies, the child stars, the athletes who seem to be born for it. But behind every gold medal, championship trophy, or world record, there's a deeper truth, one that separates the good from the truly great. It's not raw talent that defines champions. It's their mindset. The growth mindset, as Carol Dweck defines it, is the belief that abilities can be developed through dedication, effort, learning, and resilience. This mindset is especially crucial in the world of sports, where pressure, competition, and failure are part of the daily grind. Athletes with a fixed mindset believe their talent is either enough or it's not. And when they hit a wall, they often quit. But athletes with a growth mindset see every obstacle as a chance to grow, every loss as a lesson, and every weakness as a place to train. Let's look at one of the greatest athletes of all time, Serena Williams. Today, she's celebrated as a tennis legend, but few remember her early struggles. As a young girl training in Compton, California, Serena didn't always win. She wasn't always the fastest or the most graceful. She made mistakes. She lost matches. She faced criticism for her form, her fitness, and even her presence in a predominantly white sport. But what Serena had, beyond her athletic promise, was a relentless commitment to growth. Her father, Richard Williams, didn't just train her body, he trained her mind. He taught her to see failure as fuel, to embrace long hours of practice, and to believe that no one was ever done improving. This is what makes the difference in sports. The athlete who trains after losing, who rewatches their mistakes, who studies their technique, who keeps showing up. Not because they're already the best, but because they believe they can become the best. Contrast that with athletes who ride on natural ability. Often, these athletes shine early, winning games with ease, dazzling fans with instinctual moves. But when they finally meet real resistance, when they lose or get injured or fall behind in performance, they panic. Why? Because their identity was built on being naturally gifted, not on being a learner. Their self-worth was tied to results, not to effort. And without a growth mindset, they don't know how to recover. This is why it's dangerous to praise young athletes for talent alone. When coaches, parents, or fans constantly say, "You're so gifted," "You're a natural," or "You're unstoppable," they unintentionally lock those players into a fixed identity. And when the inevitable struggle comes, those same athletes often burn out or give up. The ones who keep going? They've shifted their mindset from proving themselves to improving themselves. Growth mindset in sports means redefining what success looks like. It's not always about winning. It's about getting better. If an athlete runs a faster time than they did last month, that's a win. If they lose a game but identify what to fix and come back stronger, that's success. When progress becomes the goal, consistency and resilience take root. And those are the traits that turn players into champions. Look at NBA legends like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. Both are celebrated for their talent, but it was their work ethic and obsession with improvement that made them stand out. Jordan was famously cut from his high school basketball team, but instead of giving up, he trained harder. Kobe would practice for hours before team workouts even began. Their greatness wasn't just skill, it was mindset. They didn't rely on what they had. They built what they needed. This principle applies across all sports at every level, from youth leagues to professional arenas. Whether you're a coach, a parent, or an athlete yourself, here's how to apply the growth mindset in sports. 1. Praise effort, strategy, and resilience, not just outcomes. When a child plays well, instead of saying, "You're so talented," say, "I noticed how hard you worked on your defense." When a team loses, highlight how they stayed focused or adjusted their play. This builds confidence in the process, not just the product. Second, normalize failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Great athletes fail often. Encourage players to study their failures, not fear them. Let them know that messing up is part of getting better. This turns pressure into possibility. 3. Set goals around growth, not just wins. Encourage athletes to track their improvement over time. Did they improve their stamina, their technique, their teamwork? These are the real victories, the ones that lay the foundation for long-term success. 4. Encourage self-reflection. After every practice or game, ask athletes to reflect. What did I do well? What do I want to work on? What did I learn? This builds mental muscles as strong as physical ones. 5. Model the mindset. If you're a coach, model vulnerability and growth. Share your own learning moments. If you're a parent, let your child see you persevere through your own challenges. Mindset is caught more than taught. 6. Embrace the long game. Remind athletes that greatness takes time. It's not about peaking in high school or dominating every game. It's about becoming someone who improves year after year. Someone who gets back up. Someone who endures. Reflect now on this. What setback in your life could become your training ground? Whether you're on the field or not, the lessons of growth mindset in sports apply to life. That injury you're recovering from, that project you failed, that dream you had to put on hold, what if that wasn't the end? What if it was part of your training? What if the real victory wasn't avoiding struggle, but becoming the kind of person who thrives in it? Athletes teach us that grit beats glamour, that repetition builds mastery, and that belief is just as important as ability. So whether you're an elite competitor or someone just trying to stick with a fitness routine, adopt this mindset. I'm not finished. I'm not failing. I'm training. Because champions aren't born. They're built. One rep, one round, one mindset shift at a time. Section 7. Changing your mindset. One of the most powerful messages of Carol Dweck's research on mindset is this: mindsets themselves can change. You are not stuck with the beliefs you inherited, absorbed from childhood, or built through years of failure or frustration. If you've spent most of your life thinking, "I'm just not good at this," or "This is who I am and I can't change," there's hope. Because mindset is not a life sentence. It's a learned pattern. And anything learned can be unlearned, then rewritten. The truth is, we all carry fixed beliefs about something. Maybe you believe you're not good at math. Maybe you've convinced yourself you're not athletic, not creative, not a leader, not lovable, or simply not one of those successful people. These beliefs can feel like facts, but they're not. They're stories we tell ourselves, often based on a past experience, a criticism, a failure, or a moment of embarrassment. Over time, those moments harden into mindsets, and those mindsets shape everything: how we set goals, how we respond to failure, how we relate to others, and how we see our future. But here's the good news. You can change your mindset, and that changes everything. Changing your mindset starts with awareness. Begin noticing your thoughts, especially in moments of stress, failure, or discomfort. What's your inner dialogue when something doesn't go your way? When you don't understand something quickly? When someone outperforms you? Fixed mindset thoughts sound like, "I'll never be good at this," "I'm just not smart enough," or "This is too hard, I give up." These thoughts are automatic, but once you hear them, you can interrupt them. Next comes reframing. This means deliberately replacing fixed thoughts with growth-oriented ones. For example, I can't do this becomes, I can't do this yet. I failed becomes, I'm learning what doesn't work. They're better than me becomes, I can learn from them. This isn't about toxic positivity or pretending everything is easy. It's about choosing a perspective that empowers progress instead of freezing it. Once you've started reframing your thoughts, the next step is to act differently. Mindset shifts don't fully take root through thinking alone. They grow through action. Start taking small risks that stretch you. Sign up for a class in an area you struggle with. Ask for feedback on something you normally avoid. Try something new and uncomfortable. Every time you face fear and choose to engage, you're proving to yourself that growth is possible. You're retraining your brain to see challenge not as a threat, but as an opportunity. Let's look at a real-world example. Consider the story of James, a man who dropped out of school in his early 20s. For years, he believed he was not academic. Every time he tried something technical, he'd get discouraged and say, I'm just not wired for this. He took jobs that didn't challenge him and avoided anything that might lead to failure, but something shifted when a mentor introduced him to the idea of growth mindset. For the first time, James began to question his assumptions. What if intelligence wasn't fixed? What if his past struggles were just that? Past. James began small. He enrolled in a free online coding course and struggled through it. He failed multiple quizzes. He got stuck on basic concepts. But instead of giving up, he kept asking questions. He rewrote his story. I'm not bad at coding. I'm just new to it. Eventually, he completed the course, then another. He started building simple projects, contributing to open-source communities, and finally applied for a junior role at a tech company. Today, he leads a team of developers at a mid-sized software firm. His intelligence didn't change. His mindset did. James's story isn't an exception. It's what happens when someone decides to challenge a fixed belief and replaces it with a growth one. This doesn't require genius, privilege, or perfect timing. It just takes a willingness to see things differently, and then take action from that new belief. You might ask, but what if I've held a fixed mindset for years? Is it too late? The answer is no. Brain science confirms that neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, continues throughout our lives. That means change is possible at any age. Whether you're 17 or 70, your brain can learn, adapt, and grow. Of course, changing your mindset isn't a one-time switch. It's a journey. Even people with a strong growth mindset still hear fixed thoughts sometimes. The key is not to eliminate those thoughts, but to recognize them and choose differently. Think of your mindset like a muscle. The more you use the growth mindset, the stronger it becomes. And over time, it becomes your default. Here are a few practical tools to support your mindset shift. 1. Keep a growth mindset journal. Each evening, reflect on a challenge you faced that day. How did you respond? How could you reframe it next time? What did you learn? This helps you track your mental shifts. 2. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. Mindset is contagious. If the people around you embrace learning, feedback, and growth, you'll be more likely to do the same. 3. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Every time you improve, even a little, acknowledge it. Don't wait until you've arrived to celebrate. Growth is the win. 4. Use setbacks as data. When things go wrong, instead of blaming yourself, ask, what can I learn from this? Mistakes are powerful teachers, if you let them be. 5. Speak your new beliefs aloud. Affirmations work best when they're grounded in truth. Try phrases like, "I'm capable of learning hard things," or "I grow through effort and practice." Now, let's pause for reflection. What's one fixed belief you're willing to challenge starting today? Maybe it's about your intelligence, your ability to lead, your body, your relationships, or your future. Whatever it is, name it. Then reframe it. And commit to one small action that supports a new belief. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not too late. Your mindset is not a life sentence. It's a launch pad. The moment you choose to think differently is the moment everything begins to change. So here's the truth. You don't have to be born talented, lucky, or perfect to grow. You just have to believe that growth is possible, and then live like it's true. Because the only thing standing between where you are and where you could be is the story you're telling yourself. It's time to write a new one. Section 8. Triggers and setbacks. No matter how committed you are to developing a growth mindset, there will be moments when you slip. Moments that pull you back into old patterns of fear, avoidance, or self-doubt. These are called mindset triggers, and they're a natural part of the journey. Everyone has them. Even people who seem confident, high-achieving, and unshakable encounter moments that test their mindset. The key isn't to eliminate these triggers, but to recognize them, understand them, and respond to them differently. A mindset trigger is any situation, feeling, or feedback that activates your fixed mindset voice. That inner critic that says, "You're not good enough," "You're going to fail," or "Why even try?" It might be a task that reminds you of a past failure. It could be a comparison to someone who seems ahead of you. It could be criticism, pressure, public speaking, or even success. Yes, success can be a trigger if it makes you afraid of not living up to expectations. Why do triggers matter? Because they are often the points where people give up. A trigger convinces you to retreat rather than push forward. And if you don't learn to recognize and manage these moments, you'll keep sabotaging your own growth. Not because you lack ability, but because you haven't learned how to handle discomfort. So how do you change this? It begins with awareness. You can't manage what you don't see. Start by mapping your triggers. Think back to recent times when you felt anxious, defensive, angry, or discouraged. What caused it? What were you doing? Who was involved? How did you feel in your body? What thoughts came up? For example, maybe you felt triggered when someone gave you feedback at work. Your chest tightened. Your mind flooded with thoughts like, "They don't appreciate me," or "I'm not cut out for this." That's a trigger, and it's gold. Because now you've found a point of vulnerability that you can work with rather than be ruled by. This is where a trigger map becomes powerful. Write down the specific situations that tend to trigger your fixed mindset. Be honest and detailed. Common triggers include being compared to others, being criticized, even constructively, facing a task you've failed at before, watching someone else succeed, feeling out of control, not getting immediate results, trying something new in public. Once you've identified your triggers, you can begin planning growth-based responses. These are intentional, empowering thoughts and actions you choose to use when your fixed mindset gets activated. For instance, fixed thought: "I'll never be good at this." Growth response: "This is hard because I'm learning something new." That's how growth works. Fixed thought: "They're better than me." Growth response: "I can learn from them instead of comparing myself." Fixed reaction: shutting down after feedback. Growth response: asking follow-up questions and seeing it as a gift for improvement. You might not be able to stop the fixed mindset voice from appearing, but you can change how you respond to it. Over time, the growth response becomes your new habit. Let's look at a real-world example. Mark, a CEO of a mid-sized marketing firm, had built a successful company over 10 years, but his team often felt paralyzed around him. When projects weren't perfect, Mark would become visibly frustrated. He didn't yell, but he'd quietly fix the mistakes himself and pull back responsibilities from others. His team stopped taking risks, stopped bringing new ideas, and morale dropped. When a consultant pointed out this pattern, Mark realized he was triggered by imperfection, especially in public. Deep down, he feared failure would expose him as inadequate. Instead of denying it, Mark got curious. He wrote down moments where he felt his perfectionist trigger. He noticed how it affected his leadership. Then he started practicing growth-based responses. When a team member presented a flawed idea, he'd say, "This is a great starting point. What can we build on together?" He gave feedback with curiosity instead of control. As he did this, his team began to take more ownership. Productivity and creativity soared. Mark didn't become a perfect leader overnight, but he became a growing one. Another crucial element in handling setbacks and triggers is self-compassion. This can't be overstated. When you're triggered, you might feel ashamed for even having a fixed mindset. But judging yourself only reinforces the problem. Instead, remind yourself, being triggered doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're human. Growth mindset isn't about never falling down. It's about how you rise and how kindly you treat yourself in the process. Think of it this way. Would you scold a child for falling while learning to walk? Of course not. You'd encourage them to try again. That's exactly how you need to treat yourself when you hit a trigger. Learn to pause, breathe, say something kind to yourself. Then choose a growth-based response. Here's a simple 3-step process to follow when a trigger hits. 1. Name it. I'm feeling triggered. My fixed mindset is showing up. 2. Pause and observe. What's the thought? Where is it coming from? What do I usually do in this moment? 3. Choose a new response. What would a growth mindset say or do here? The more often you go through this process, the more resilient and flexible your mindset becomes. Triggers don't disappear, but they lose their power. So, let's pause for a moment and ask, what situations tend to trigger your fixed mindset the most? Is it failure, criticism, uncertainty, or something more subtle, like comparison or a lack of recognition? Write these down. Then write a new script, one that reflects growth, patience, and possibility. Here's the bottom line. Triggers and setbacks are not the enemy. They are invitations. Every time you feel one rising, you're being invited to choose a different path, a higher road. Each trigger is a doorway to deeper growth. The more willing you are to walk through them, the more powerful your mindset becomes. So the next time you feel stuck, discouraged, or reactive, don't panic. Don't shut down. Pause, breathe, and remember, this moment is not proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're on the edge of growth. And every edge, when embraced with courage, becomes a breakthrough. Section 9. Growth Mindset Tools and Practices. A growth mindset isn't something you're born with or without. It's something you cultivate. It's not magic or luck. It's the result of intentional, consistent practice. Just like training a muscle, developing your mindset requires daily habits that reinforce your belief in learning, effort, and resilience. The good news is that small, simple choices every day add up to massive transformation over time. Growth mindset isn't a sudden shift, but a gradual evolution, fueled by deliberate actions and reflection. So, what does it actually look like to build and maintain a growth mindset in your daily life? The answer lies in creating routines and tools that keep you connected to growth principles, even when challenges arise or motivation dips. These daily practices anchor you in your commitment to improvement and help you rewrite your inner narrative from "I can't" to "I'm learning." One of the most powerful tools is journaling. Taking just 5 to 10 minutes each day to write about your thoughts, experiences, and emotions creates space for awareness and growth. Journaling allows you to notice patterns, like when your fixed mindset shows up or what triggers you. It's also where you can celebrate small wins and progress that often go unnoticed. When you write, ask yourself questions like, what did I learn today? What challenge did I face? And how did I respond? What would I do differently next time? Over time, journaling becomes a mirror, reflecting not just where you are, but how far you've come. Reflection pairs beautifully with journaling, but can also be done mentally during quiet moments. Reflection means stepping back from your daily busyness to review your thoughts and behaviors with curiosity, not judgment. For example, after a tough conversation, reflect on how your mindset influenced your reaction. Did you default to blaming or defensiveness, fixed mindset? Or did you stay open and curious, growth mindset? Reflection sharpens your awareness and strengthens your ability to catch fixed mindset moments in real time. Another daily practice that supports growth mindset is using affirmations, positive statements that reinforce growth beliefs. Affirmations might seem simple or even cheesy, but when repeated regularly, they shape your subconscious. Examples include, I can improve with effort, mistakes are opportunities to learn, or challenges help me grow stronger. The key is to say affirmations with intention, ideally out loud and with feeling, especially in moments of self-doubt or stress. Over time, these affirmations become mental habits that steer you toward growth. Setting clear learning goals is another vital habit. Unlike outcome-based goals that focus on winning or succeeding, learning goals emphasize the process, what skills or knowledge you want to gain. For instance, instead of, I want to get promoted, a learning goal would be, I want to improve my communication skills this month. Learning goals shift your focus from proving yourself to improving yourself, which is the hallmark of a growth mindset. They keep you motivated through setbacks because progress is defined by effort and development, not just results. Equally important is adopting a practice of failure reviews. Instead of ignoring or fearing failure, review your setbacks regularly and with kindness. Ask, what went wrong? What can I learn from this? What will I do differently next time? Failure reviews transform mistakes from threats to teachers. When you embrace failure as feedback, you build resilience and reduce the fear that keeps many stuck in fixed mindset thinking. To see these habits in action, consider the story of Maya, a woman who once struggled with low confidence and self-doubt. Maya wanted to become a writer, but believed talent was the only key to success, something she felt she lacked. One day, she discovered the concept of a growth mindset and decided to commit to daily mindset practices. She began journaling her writing process and emotions, reflecting on what slowed her down. She created affirmations like, every word I write makes me better. She set weekly learning goals to master new writing techniques. And after each rejection letter from publishers, she did failure reviews, noting what feedback she could use to improve her manuscript. Over several years, these small daily habits built Maya's resilience, skill, and confidence. She transformed from a hesitant beginner into a best-selling author. Her story isn't about overnight success. It's about consistent growth fueled by intentional daily practices. This is the real power of the growth mindset. It turns ordinary days into stepping stones for extraordinary results. Now, it's your turn. What is one growth mindset habit you're willing to commit to for the next 7 days? Maybe it's journaling for 5 minutes each night, repeating affirmations every morning, or setting a small learning goal each week. Choose something manageable that fits your life. The best habit is the one you actually do. Track your progress and notice how your thinking shifts as you practice. Remember, growth mindset isn't about perfection or never feeling stuck. It's about persistence, curiosity, and kindness toward yourself. By building daily habits that reinforce growth, you create a foundation that supports lifelong learning and transformation. The small steps you take today might seem minor, but they're building the mindset that will shape your future, one filled with possibility, resilience, and continuous growth. Conclusion. As we wrap up this deep dive into the power of mindset, one truth stands clear. Your mindset is everything. It shapes how you see yourself, your abilities, your challenges, and your potential for success. The most empowering part? Your mindset isn't fixed. It's yours to change. No matter where you are right now, no matter what setbacks or limitations you feel, your story isn't finished. You have the power to rewrite it, to grow, and to thrive. Throughout this journey, we've uncovered essential insights about the difference between fixed and growth mindsets, how these mindsets impact every part of your life, from education to leadership, relationships to sports, and how you can start shifting your thinking today. The fixed mindset tells you that your talents and intelligence are static, that failure defines you, and that effort is pointless if you're not naturally gifted. But the growth mindset invites you to see challenges as opportunities, to embrace learning, and to believe that your potential expands with effort and persistence. This shift in perspective is not just a philosophical idea. It's a transformative practice that has changed lives across the globe. Why does this matter now more than ever? We live in a world that's changing faster than ever before. Technology, culture, and even the way we work are evolving at lightning speed. In such a rapidly shifting landscape, the ability to learn, adapt, and grow is the ultimate edge. The fixed mindset traps us in outdated beliefs that limit our possibilities. The growth mindset, however, frees us to innovate, solve problems, and keep moving forward no matter what life throws at us. The future belongs to those who keep learning, who embrace challenges, and who see setbacks as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Think about every great achiever in history: Einstein, Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, and countless others. They didn't succeed because they were born with all the answers or natural talent. They chose the growth mindset. They kept pushing, learning, and improving even when faced with failure and doubt. Their stories prove that growth mindset isn't just a nice idea. It's a practical way to unlock your highest potential. Now, it's your turn to make that choice. If this video has resonated with you, here's what I invite you to do next. Like the video to show your support and help others discover this powerful message. Leave a comment sharing your favorite insight. What mindset idea struck you the most, or what change you plan to start making? Sharing your thoughts not only helps solidify your own learning, but also inspires others on their growth journey. If you know someone who's struggling with self-doubt, fear of failure, or feeling stuck, share this video with them. Sometimes one message at the right moment can change a life. And finally, subscribe to the channel for more transformational summaries and practical lessons designed to help you grow every day. Before you go, here's a challenge to take with you. Imagine your life a year from now if you commit to living with a growth mindset starting today. What new skills will you have learned? What challenges will you have overcome? How much stronger, more resilient, and more confident will you be? The choice to grow is yours, and it begins with a single step. A small shift in your thinking that can change everything. Remember, you're not stuck. You can grow. Your story is just beginning. Embrace the growth mindset and watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible.